I'd just arrived home from work, my footwear still damp from the drizzle gripping a beaker of inexpensive coffee that had long since cooled. I paused in the entrance of the residence I had acquired for myself, my own property, and examined the formal indictment repeatedly. Financial repercussions inflicted upon the family by unjustly denying a younger sibling her rightful prospects. They were initiating legal action against me for sabotaging my sister's future. The same sister who had never been employed a single day in her 27 years. The same mother and father who had instructed me to be empathetic when she required funds and to be patient when I didn't. I placed the documents on the table and let out a quiet, bitter laugh. It was the sort of laugh that occurs when one realizes affection has a boundary and that you've finally reached it. I began working when I was 17 years old. Part-time employment at a restaurant. Clearing surfaces after school, while my classmates returned home to study or rest. No one compelled me, but I knew my parents couldn't finance my higher education, and I wasn't the sort of person to plead for supernatural assistance. When I received my initial payment, I presented it to my mother. She smiled with pride. I believed that expression meant everything. Over the succeeding years, I financed my own degree, my textbooks, my accommodation expenses. I saved diligently, bypassed celebrations, declined holidays. Every sacrifice felt like a stabilizing element in the foundation of my future. My parents referred to me as their dependable one. My sister Mary, she was their delicate aspiration, the one they shielded, excused, indulged. When she abandoned her university studies, they claimed it was tension. When she depleted her savings on a failing business venture, they asserted it was ambition. When I purchased my first residence, they offered no comment. Just silence. A silence that injured more deeply than any verbal assault. The first indication arrived a month before the lawsuit. My mother ceased making calls. My father began ignoring my electronic messages. My sister posted pictures online of family meals to which I was not invited. Then came the soft remarks. An elderly neighbor mentioned how generous I'd been supplying my parents with substantial money to assist my sister. Except I hadn't provided them with a single dime. When I confronted my mother, she offered no denial. She stated, "You have possessed more than sufficient. Your sister merits an opportunity as well." That's when I grasped they had utilized my identity, my credit, standing my personal details. They had secured loans using my name to assist her in beginning anew. And when the debt collectors started their pursuit, they turned on me because, naturally, I was the responsible sibling, the easy one to hold accountable. I didn't shout, didn't dispute. That night, I sat at my desk with every official record, every financial statement, every electronic communication. I sorted them into labeled files categorized by date, by sum, by name. I recalled every transaction, every counterfeit signature, every obligation that was not my own. They had perceived me as a simpleton, but they forgot I had constructed my existence on meticulous planning and resilience. For a few weeks, I prepared, consulted with legal experts, financial professionals, banks. I discovered the evidence was obvious, incontrovertible. When I formally lodged my countersuit, I ensured the figures resonated more powerfully than any spoken accusation could. Identity theft, financial deception, emotional suffering, all verifiable, all traceable. Devoid of feeling, devoid of vindication. Just sheer exactness. My legal representative advised me to settle discreetly, but I declined. They had selected the stage a legal setting, and I would execute my part flawlessly. The day of the court hearing, my mother and father were seated, beside my sister, holding her hand, as if she were the victim. She wore a pristine white dress, a symbol of guiltlessness. I wore a neutral gray attire, impassive. When the presiding judge requested submissions, my father spoke, initially his tone wavering with practiced distress. He alleged I had forsaken the family, that I had hoarded prosperity and deserted them. My mother wept. My sister lowered her gaze like a long-suffering saint. Then it was my turn. I didn't glance at them when I spoke. I simply presented the folder to the judge. Every monetary transfer, every fraudulent signature, every message from my sister soliciting just one more financial advance. The ensuing silence was penetrating. I could sense the atmosphere change, the burden of their deception dissolving. My sister's composure fractured first, then my mother's crying ceased. My father's voice became unsteady. I didn't require much dialogue. The proof was more articulate than any family tie. When the verdict was delivered, it was rapid. Their lawsuit was dismissed. My counterclaim was authenticated. The court mandated restitution. They would be required to compensate what they had appropriated and more. But funds were not my ultimate objective. What I desired was acknowledgement, and I obtained it. Not via an apology, but through the profound silence that ensued. That evening, my father phoned not to express regret, but to say, "You didn't have to pursue it this far." I responded, "Neither did you," and concluded the call. It has been 7 months. I occasionally drive past their residence. The illumination is less bright now. The vehicle is gone. My sister's enterprise has ceased to operate. Do I experience regret? No. I feel equilibrium. Because every instance I am seated in my living area encircled by the walls I constructed, financed, and safeguarded, I recall the expense of attaining serenity, not money, not family. And if they ever question why I know, longer visit why I stopped receiving their telephone calls, I hope they remember the courtroom.